Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Check us out on socials if you would be so kind: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We've got polls out there, which is cool. So interact with us that way. Listen to us on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts. We're on pretty much all of the major ones there. And watch these two glorious bastards on YouTube as we continue our YouTube journeys. Uh, Ironically, neither one of us wearing a hat tonight. Very
Nope.
strange, but that's how it goes. So back to talk NBA and college basketball. It's been we did one last week podcast, and it's been, I feel like it's been just a crazy, crazy week, particularly in the NBA. But there's some good storylines in college too as we wind down the regular season and get ready for conference tournaments next week, and then the big NCAA tournament the following week. It's getting into some real exciting times when you get into March and April. And we've talked about this over the years, how it is like one of the pinnacles of sports times we are getting ready to go into right now, which is really, really exciting because there's lots of stuff for those of us that are doing podcasts to talk about. So yeah, that's me. That's my Think Tank Sports monologue. And of course, now sitting alongside me here is Mike. Mike, how the heck are you?
Ooh, that was a mouthful, Dave, but
Yeah,
impressive. And you certainly said a lot. It is a great time of year. Not only the major sports, interesting, even though in the NFL and MLB are technically in their off season, all MLBs in spring training. You have like tertiary sports like the Masters is coming up in about a month, and there's always a big fight that weekend, and boxing or MMA. So
no,
there's other stuff to distract yourself if you're a NASCAR fan. That's up and running. So hockey, quite interesting. One of the best players in the league, Kane, goes to the Rangers, and Rangers essentially have an all-star team right now, but. Like you said, Dave, we're not here for that. We're here for the NBA.
no, we're not. And the Rangers aren't. I mean, the Boston Bruins folks are at 100 points faster than any team in NHL history and cruising towards the best record of all time. So the Rangers can get Patrick Kane, but they're not going to stop the Bruins. I'm sorry. But anyways, we're not talking about hockey. We're talking
No.
about hockey. We're talking about hockey. No, we're not
Easy,
talking about
Iverson.
hockey. Yep, we are talking about the NBA. And
Well, let's go
Mike,
back to probably the best game of the year, Dave. Let's just start right there.
yes. Oh yeah,
Kings
absolutely.
Clippers.
Yes, the Kings and the Clippers. I have a bunch of funny things I heard about the Clippers today, but yeah, going
Okay.
back, yeah, in the Wayback Machine, as we like to say, literally a week ago, Kings and Clippers engage in highly entertaining and the second highest scoring game in NBA history. This 176-175 double overtime, double whammy, defense optional win by the Kings. The Kings shoot 58%. The Clippers shoot 60%. The Clippers drain like 26 threes. I mean, just watching some of the highlights. My gosh, defense completely optional. I mean, guys just
Oh
at the
yeah.
3-point line, and it's like in overtime, and they're just whoop, doo, 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 right on through. Yes, how did that go? Whoop, doo, 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 right through. I mean, you want to talk Swiss cheese defense, no defense, and getting huge baskets in overtime with no defense. Entertaining for sure, but my gosh, could we do any defense? Maybe just a little. Just a little?
Maybe a little. My boy Kevin Herter, who's starting guard on the Kings, tweeted that easily the highest level basketball game he's ever been a part of. And he
Yeah.
played in some pretty serious games at Maryland and with the Hawks in the playoffs, but especially for regular season, this was some scoring effort. The Kings have, for the first time in their franchise history, two players go for 40 points with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. Um, take a peek at the box scores. It's just drunk with stats. There's no
Yeah.
one player to highlight because they're all just stat stuff. And on this game, you said you had some funny notes on the Clippers, buddy?
Well, it wasn't necessarily on this game, but when you look at this game, Kawhi Leonard has 44 points. I couldn't believe this. 16 of 22.
Yeah.
I mean, I said the team's like shot really well, but 16 of 22. Oh my
Not
gosh.
usually his MO, yeah.
No. But so this is, when you look at this, is Sacramento, not Sacramento, sorry, the Clippers now. And then since then, they've lost 4 games in a row. They just look horrible. And I was listening to the NBA radio, and I heard one of the guys on there on the show today say, the Clips are going to clip.
Yeah. I mean, we know what they are, right? They're just going to do what they're going to do. They're going to announce their starting lineups and go on the court, and we'll be like, wow, this is a good team, and just embarrass themselves, fall right on their own faces in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
What about the Kings, Dave? I mean, they're still holding down the 3rd position in the West, if I'm not mistaken.
They are the Kings.
Are they for real?
I think they have to be again and again, young team, but we talked about this last week. Their road record, 28-13.
Right.
Right. 7-3 in their last 10. They've won 4 games in a row. No, I think they're here to stay. One thing that I like, Mike, is the coach is Mike Brown. And,
right.
He certainly has been around, right? He coached the Cavs early on. He coached the Lakers. I thought he got a raw deal with the Lakers and they fired him. I really thought that was a huge mistake. And the Lakers had a couple of bad years there.
Didn't the Cavs fire him to bring in Blatt, the international coach?
Yeah. Dave Blatt, and that didn't work. No, that didn't work out either. So I think Mike Brown is providing a steady performance, not steady performance,
steady influence.
Steadying the ship there in Sacramento with some young players. And I think that's working out really, really well for them. Obviously, at 36-25, they're only 2 games back of the Grizzlies, Mike, for the 2nd spot. As far as that goes, 2 things that I heard about the Clippers today. The one show was kicking off, and they said that they had seen a tweet from some NBA betting account, and basically was giving the odds for the teams to win the championship, and the Clippers were 5th.
And he was just the West to make the conference finals to win.
No, to win. He was like, I don't. What?
You know what that is? That's like, you watched Kawhi Leonard be the alpha male in Toronto. 4 years ago now? Is it, Dave? 4 seasons ago?
Before the pandemic. He's been on the Clippers for 4 years.
So you have a unhealthy respect for him, because at his height, he was one of the best players in the league, if not the best, at 1 year. But his health just hasn't ever been at a level, and I don't know that his efforts ever been at a level where he could, be one of the best players in history. And then, my feelings on preseason P. I don't know why he gets all the love that he gets. He, didn't lead Indiana to anything. He went to Houston, was a disaster. Now he's out there, just not delivering anything. So, they have some nice pieces around it, but 5th, I mean, with all of the options in both conferences, that's just well, that's show you should listen to anymore, Dave.
Completely
take that off your rotation, whatever show that was.
Yeah. Well, and it's a show that I like, but he was reading a tweet, and then they got into how ridiculous it was. So the other thing that I heard, they were talking about, and we'll get off the Clippers here in a second because there's way better teams to talk about, but just these things that I heard. The one guy was talking about the Clippers, and he said, you can put all the makeup you want on a pig, but you know what? Still a pig.
Still a pig. Yeah. And the Russell Westbrook experiment, that guy cannot catch on with a team that he can help. He should go back to the Wizards and just, bomb away with
Yeah,
Porzingis
like off
and
into
Beal and
off into in oh, what else? Yeah, I can't even say it, but yeah,
anonymity.
anonymity. Thank you.
While we're in the West, Denver Nuggets, Dave, just keep on keeping on. They're not getting a lot of love because of their, playoff history, and they're certainly going to
Yeah.
have to prove it. But boy, they're having a heck of a regular season, and it's just so under the radar. What can you say about Jokic that hasn't been said? Really probably running towards his third MVP unless Tatum beats him there.
Yeah. Well, that's what
a
you
good
say.
team.
I mean, if
Jamal Murray,
Jokic
all these guys.
wins,
Right.
his third straight MVP, I mean, then you're putting him up against Larry Bird.
Right.
And you're going to put him up against Larry Bird.
Right.
That's rarefied air. As far as that goes. Huge game tonight, Mike. So in the last week, I think it was Saturday, the Grizzlies won against the Nuggets in Memphis. Tonight, the rematch, the Nuggets in Denver. Both of these teams, huge, like the two best home records right there. I mean, the Nuggets have the best at 28-4. The Grizzlies are 26-5. And these teams we talked about last week, the struggles on the road. Memphis is 12-18. Denver 16-15. So huge game in the West tonight. Denver could put Memphis 6 games out with 18 to go. I mean, that for first and home court in the Western Conference, that's going to be huge for those two teams, Mike, because the home is where they're making their money.
Their hay. Yeah, no, for sure. Last week I said, Memphis is a little too mouthy for their level of success, and I still stick with that. Dylan Brooks showing up for that before mentioned Denver game dressed like Stone Cold Steve Austin. You still haven't done anything, dude. So
no.
That being said, also John Morant, off the court might not be the best guy in the world. Got some issues there. I don't know if that'll affect this season, but things could happen there. Jaren Jackson Jr. is just athleticism personified.
He's a beast.
Great player. If they can get Steven Adams back, they're going to be okay. They're good. They're going to make some noise for sure.
Oh, no doubt.
I just don't like them, but because they're celebrating before they've done anything. And I generally don't like that. Also, Taylor Jenkins, their coach, gets a lot of love, and I just don't. I don't see in-game adjustments or using his superstars properly in rotation. Those are my two Taylor Jenkins criticisms. But that all being said, in the 2 spot, and if they can get home field or home court advantage for the 1 spot, they're going to be something to deal with for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be really tough, Mike. Even where they are 5 games. I mean, Denver's got to hit a bit of a skid.
Yes, it's
Memphis
not going to happen realistically, but
no,
because of the few games left. But yeah,
certainly
make a run, get hot. Yeah, make a run and get hot.
Yeah.
This is the time.
Mike, Kevin Durant had his debut in Phoenix Wednesday night. Went well, although it was against a pretty bad team.
That's all right.
So
that's what they need.
That's what they needed. And he looked great. Between him and Booker, they're going to be tremendous.
They played the Hornets.
Yeah. And the Hornets are second worst in the Eastern Conference, going nowhere. But it gets them some practice there. We'll see. I mean, certainly, with him and Booker, they got 2 great scorers. We'll see. Again, that's another team 13-19 on the road, and that's a veteran team.
The box score for that Hornets game was exactly how the Suns want to play it, though. Maybe a little bit reversed. Durant had 23 points. Booker had 37, led the team, and Chris Paul only had 2 points but 11 assists.
11 assists, right?
Right. And DeAndre Ayton had a good game on the boards. So let's Just let them find their strides for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
Also
absolutely.
16 points and 16
Absolutely.
rebounds. So
Yeah.
that's the formula right there. Duplicate that against a
Mhm.
team that isn't the Charlotte Hornets, and you're going to have, a nice. And they've got some ramp up here. They got the Bulls tonight, the Mavericks on the weekend, and they play the Thunder. They have some little sisters of the poor that they can get right here. With this lineup, and they got to be close to, if not the favorites for winning the title out of the West, just because of their talent and their
Yeah,
loaded
I think
roster.
in this that poll that I or that Twitter account that I mentioned, I think the Suns were third. It was Celtics, Bucks, Suns.
Gotcha.
I believe, and then the Nuggets, or the Nuggets and then the Suns. Either way,
Yeah,
definitely going to be interesting. Yeah.
for
So
sure.
That Suns Mavericks game is Sunday on ABC.
Yep.
That'll be
talk
interesting.
about defense optional for the Dallas Mavericks, man.
But KD against Kyrie. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, they're terrible. They're terrible.
I would imagine you won't see KD covering Kyrie directly, but yes,
no,
on the court at the same time for sure. The Warriors, they were turning into a team nobody wants to play all of a sudden.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and they won last night. No Curry, right. No Andrew Wiggins,
right?
And they continue to dig themselves into holes and then have these huge rallies. I mean, they had the big comeback the other night against Portland, I think. It's crazy, but yeah, nobody wants to play them. Nobody wants to play them. Right
Speaking
now,
of Portland,
right now they're the 5.
Right.
So 4-5 would be Phoenix against Golden State. Oh my gosh, could you imagine that as a first round series?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, crazy. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, we'll get to your Lakers in a second here in the West, but the Trailblazers have to be mentioned because of Damian Lillard's 71-point just outburst.
Yes.
In a loss, which
speaks
volumes about where the team is right now. Dave, there was a lot of stuff going around about 60-point games. How many 70-point games in the history of the NBA do you think there's been? 70.
Oh. So this is just in the 70s, so not including like Kobe's 80-point.
No, 70 or higher. So
70 or higher, right? You have Will, you have Kobe. I know David Robinson had a 70-point game. I remember that.
Of the 13, 6 of them are by Will Chamberlain, which is ridiculous. So let me ask you this. 3 active players have had 70-point games. You've got Donovan Mitchell, we just mentioned. 1 player I mentioned a minute ago. Well, no, we didn't mention Donovan Mitchell. I just blew it.
Nope,
Damian
you just
Lillard.
blew it with Donovan Mitchell.
Son of a gun.
Didn't Booker have one?
Yes. So Booker, Lillard, and Mitchell.
Last year?
Yeah. I'm surprised Harden wasn't on that list, or Westbrook for active. I thought. Or KD, really.
Yeah, not 70. I mean, 70 is rarefied air when you talk about the history of the league, and there's only been 13 of them. Yeah. And 6 of them are by one guy.
Right. So just crazy. I thought that was, nuts that that happened.
Absolutely.
60-point games. Wilt Chamberlain had 32 60-point or higher games. Kobe had 6.
Gosh.
Yeah. Kobe had 6 and Dame's got 5. So, that was just.
Wow.
Yeah. Wilt Chamberlain scoring
nuts.
on and off the court at will. Just prolific. Everywhere.
On so many levels. Everywhere he went. So is it time to talk about my Lakers, or?
Yeah, give me the quick Lakers rant there, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, not really a rant. We did here's the next 10 games last week. You asked me for predictions on these. So they've played 4 games since then. I had said 2-2. They went 3-1, Mike.
Yeah.
With their only loss being to Memphis, so they beat. They went 3-1. So like that feels really good. But the challenge is LeBron is hurt, and he's going to be out for 3 weeks and then be evaluated. So now Anthony Davis has to carry the load. And we'll see. Every time he hits the floor, everybody cringes like he's going to break again. D'Angelo Russell has been out a couple games. He's out again tonight. As far as the Lakers go, but they're a game out of the 10 spot. They're benefiting from Portland going into a bit of a tailspin and 2 losses in a row and 3-7 in their last 10. The Lakers are playing better basketball. It looks like the moves that they made are paying off. But I mean, let's be honest, that they're not a threat to do really anything if they don't have LeBron there, and he's going to miss, the rest of this next bunch of games, and that's not okay.
If he comes back and plays even 10 games, 5 games before the playoffs, I'd be surprised. They're going to really take their time, but also they're going to get in. You know what I mean? They're still right now technically on the outside looking in. They're, a good spot to make it. Don't get me wrong, but
sure,
they got to start. Dave, is there a little bit of a Ewing theory here, to borrow an old Bill Simmons phrase? Addition by subtraction with LeBron, open up the court a little bit, to defer to him every second or third time he's got to bring the ball up and get his shot off, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely
some
of that.
Yeah.
Austin Reeves had a nice game the other night, and he said, we're adjusting because they're so used to everything like going through LeBron. He said, so they had some bumps and bruises there along the way, but he had a nice game, Austin Reeves, and I really like his game, and so hopefully that will continue. They need D'Angelo Russell though. They can't. I don't think they can do anything. Like LeBron's out, they need to have D'Angelo Russell healthy. So hopefully.
Here's my thing. LeBron being out is a perfect litmus test for the other players. When we're talking, we're splitting hairs here. I get it. The best player of all time, Michael Jordan versus LeBron, is the typical, middle-aged white guy sports podcast
debate
discussion. Here's the splitting difference for me in my head. Michael Jordan elevated his teammates. Scottie Pippen was really good. He made him an all-time player. He won with Bill Wennington and Bill Cartwright and Horace Grant and B.J. Armstrong, Luke Longley, right? Steve Kerr. He elevated everyone around him. He knew how to speak to people. Mostly he was aggressive and got in their ass or whatever. That's fine. LeBron doesn't do that. LeBron tries to drag people with him, but he's not elevating them from behind. You know what I mean? AD especially should be an all-time superstar. And when LeBron's gone and he's the focus of the offense, you can see it. But it's just not happening when LeBron's there. And so for me, just take a quick sports talk tangent. That's the difference when you bring up stats of LeBron's that are better. I don't care. So that's my little rant about LeBron versus MJ. Thoughts?
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, the debate is going to exist. In talking, for me, like I can, and it is splitting hairs. Your point is well taken. I can look at it even more simply than this.
Okay.
Michael Jordan won 6 titles, never lost in the finals.
Right.
I know LeBron's been to 10 finals, but he's lost 6 of them.
Right.
That's it right there. As far as I'm concerned.
So there's 2 reasons right there that Jordan did.
Again, splitting hairs.
Right. All right, we got to get to the East before we do. Probably the quietest rookie season from anybody. The rookies as a group in the NBA aren't exactly lighting it up. If I asked you who the point per game leader is for the rookies, do you have any idea?
It's not Anthony Edwards is not a rookie this year, right?
No.
No,
Nope.
he's second year.
You know this guy.
Oh gosh, I feel like I've seen it, but I can't pull the name
Pablo
off the top of my head.
Banchero
Oh, right, Banchero.
from
Yes, of
Orlando.
course.
Yeah, 19.9 points a game. This guy, Dave, I had to look up. I never heard of him. Benedict Mathurin is second
Okay.
at 17.1 for the Pacers. Never heard of that guy until I saw this little stat package.
Yeah, and
Jaden
yeah,
Ivey's third, Jalen Williams fourth, and Keegan Murray from Iowa is fifth.
Yeah.
So just interesting, just a real quiet rookie class. But a team that's not real quiet, Dave, is my Boston Celtics.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
However, the Milwaukee Bucks are just absurd right now. We have to put them first above my Celtics.
16 in a row,
Yeah,
Mike.
I hate
16
it.
games in a row.
We have to go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
45
and
and 17, just crushing people. Or at home 27 and 5, on the road 18 and 12. Just crushing people. So
Yep.
I don't know what to say. They're a juggernaut. There's another team that's going to be judged by their off-season prowess, but seems like the storylines and the media and everybody has this lined up for a Celtics championship, and that makes me nervous because when everybody's thinking one thing, it never happens, in sports. But they're staying relatively healthy. Robert Williams has probably been in the longest health streak in a long time. Knock on your forehead. 45 and 18 for my Celtics, just a half game back of the Milwaukee Bucks, and just playing great basketball. And Joe Mazzulla's getting all the love as the head coach, and Tatum, taking a lot of shots, but making a lot of shots. I'd like to see Jaylen Brown play a little bit better down the stretch. Love where the Celtics are. Good depth, great defense. I don't know. What do you see from the outside looking in with the Celtics, Dave? Anything
No,
I'm blind to because of my fandom?
No. I mean, they're right there. Between them and Milwaukee, they are on a collision course for the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't think there's any doubt. I also don't really see any of these other teams in the East really giving them any fight.
Sixers can't close. The Cavs are too young. The Knicks are fun right now. I mean,
the Knicks are very fun. They've won 7 in a row, and
haven't lost since they got Josh Hart.
Yeah, and Josh Hart, I've loved Josh Hart. I've always liked him. He's been great, and I heard today too. It's just interesting.
Do you remember?
Villanova.
Yeah,
and so did Jalen Brunson. So how interesting that both of them are now on the same team in New York and doing really, really well. So kudos. Love to see the Knicks doing well. It's great for the NBA when New York is.
Did you see
in the running?
Brunson came out of the game the other night. They were winning in a blowout, and I walked past Tibbs, and then he walked back and dapped him up and gave him a fist bump. And said something too and made Tibbs smile, and Tibbs never smiles, especially during the game. So good for them. The Nets, as you predicted last week, Dave, taking a big swan dive, and got my Celtics tonight. I just feel bad because there's a bunch of good dudes on the team, and like poor Joe Harris and Spencer Dinwiddie just got used and abused by the league, by the superstars, and they're just in purgatory there. They're gonna they might hang on for a playing game, but certainly won't be any threat, I don't think. But the team I want to get to that scares me as a Celtic fan is the Miami Heat, Dave. If they really Jimmy Butler, if those guys can start hitting threes to support him, Spoelstra's always got something up his sleeve defensively. I just could be irrational. I could be scarred.
Could be.
You seem to disagree, so give me your faults on the Miami Heat.
Their defense has kind of slid a little bit, which has kind of been their calling card. They can't hit open shots. I know you're saying if they hit more threes, sure, but I mean they're getting open threes and missing them. Kevin Love is in the starting lineup, even though he couldn't start in Cleveland. Now, Cleveland, I get, maybe a little bit more talent overall, but defensively, I think is where their struggle is at. And 14-19 on the road for a veteran team. I don't know. They've got to get their act together. I mean, they're scoring 107 and giving up 108. I mean, that's just not good enough. And that's why they're 33-30. Right there in the 7th spot, a game and a half ahead of the Hawks, and a game and a half behind the Nets for the 6th spot. I don't know. I said it before. I don't see any of these teams. Of all of them, it's going to be the Sixers are going to give, whoever is the most difficult, whoever they're going to get. So whoever is the 2 is going to get potentially Philadelphia in the conference semifinals. The rest of these teams, there'll be some good games, but I just don't see it. And I don't see it with Miami. I just, they're everybody else besides Jimmy Butler. I mean, Bam Adebayo is not doing a lot. They're just not playing well as a team. In my humble opinion.
No, that's what I was looking for. Atlanta Hawks, man, that's a disappointment. Now that I've thought about it for a little bit, firing the coach, Nate McMillan, makes sense to me now, because they're really, you look at that roster, they should really be winning.
Absolutely, they should be. So, yeah, they should be.
Yeah. Anything else on the NBA, buddy? Are you ready to go to the amateur division?
The amateurs. Yeah. No, I think I am good on the NBA. I think we've done a good job capturing all of that.
So when Dave introduced the podcast, he talked about Twitter and all those things. And before we came on today, I did put on Twitter the Big Ten, which is, we've discussed one of the worst conferences in the country this year. And if they didn't have Purdue, really would be just abominable. There's only 3 teams with their Big Ten tournament positions determined already. And that's Purdue, who's first, and the last 2 teams who are out, which is Ohio State and Minnesota. So the rest is a crazy tiebreaker. And if you look at our Twitter timeline, I put a picture up of the tiebreak scenarios. NASA scientists couldn't figure out all those scenarios. Have you looked at it, Dave?
No, I did not have a chance to look at it. I was at work and transitioning en route when that went up, so I have not had a chance to take a peek at it.
Here's my iPad. Those are all the different scenarios, and if this happens, then it triggers this. Yeah,
it looks like a light bright.
That's right. Good one.
For those of you that know what a light bright is, that's what
We've
that looks like.
Before,
and if you're watching on YouTube, Mike just held up a light bright. It's not his iPad; it's a light bright.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh, that is nuts. Let's see what else, Mike.
There's no Big Ten team that's going to win it all, right? Purdue, if you press them, they can't beat the press. Illinois has nice guards, but can't win it, right? Indiana is a joke. I just can't think of who would actually win it out of the Big Ten,
I mean, Indiana is they're streaky. I could see them getting on a streak and winning a few games in the tournament. Michigan, no. I mean, Michigan State, yeah.
No. Northwestern's had a nice year. They have nice guards, but that's it. Nothing up front. The all donut team, big hole in the middle.
Yeah. Donut team.
They got a big hole in the middle. Go ahead, buddy.
One of the really interesting storylines, and I'm disappointed that this may have ended, is the Antoine Davis from Detroit Mercy in his 5th season, making a charge at Pistol Pete Maravich's career scoring mark of 3,667 points. He was playing. So Detroit Mercy is in the Horizon League, and they had their tournament going on now, and they Detroit Mercy, they lost. Yep, and they needed him. They needed probably one more game. He scored 22 points, but they double teamed him a lot from what I had seen, and so he didn't shoot well, and he openly said, if I was on the other team and I was, the situation was switched, he said I would have done the same thing.
Right.
So now their season's over unless, and this made me laugh. I did not know this. You have the College Basketball Invitational, the CBI.
I forgot that existed.
So that's out there, and potential. I mean, they're 14 and 19. The NIT is not going to take them. I don't know what the CBI would take them, but the teams have to pay $27,500 as an entry fee into the CBI. Are you kidding me? What is this? Off the cuff high school league? You get a random league you got to pay money to get into?
Yeah.
What?
Got to go through each player and collect $30 just to get uniforms.
Yeah. So that's disappointing. It would have been nice, although he's taken advantage. I mean, again, he's played 5 seasons and way more games than Pistol Pete, who only played 3 seasons because freshmen couldn't play back then. So he only played 3 years and averaged some like ridiculous, like 44 points per game over his career to get to that. So
2 points for Maravich, did it in 83 games. This kid's 149 games.
Yeah,
I couldn't be happier he didn't get the record, Dave. Pistol Pete Maravich is one of the most underrated players in the history of the game because he didn't have a great pro career. His skill sets didn't really translate at the time. If he played today, oh my gosh, with the three. Remember, Maravich didn't have the 3-point line either.
Right, no 3-point line either.
Right, but I mean, his ball skills. Elite doesn't cover it. I mean, the man was dribbling on train tracks, and go to some of the YouTube videos and watch, Maravich's dribbling drills and passing drills. A lot of them with Red Auerbach for some reason. Even though he was never going to be on the Celtics, but I think it would have been a travesty if he broke the record. That's my opinion. I have a very healthy respect for Pete Maravich.
Yeah. I was just thinking it'd be a nice thing to see. But
I mean, probably good for the game with a small school. It would be good for the small school, but it just doesn't line up for me record wise. Too many games, and then with the COVID season, he's got a 5th year. I don't know. It's just too many other things. But they're getting rid of the 5th year too. No more COVID seasons ever after this year. Nobody gets.
Oh, right. The
extra
limitation on that has run out.
Right,
which is fine. That's a good thing because
I think it was good. They gave
all the players
that were there to come back. Yep, very interesting.
Have all gotten through the system. What else you got for college basketball there?
Let's go. The Big 12, Dave, is going to get every team but one into the tournament. That's crazy. But what's even weirder is if the Big 12 wins the tournament, it'll be 3rd year in a row from the same conference. Yeah, Kansas last year and Baylor the year before.
Oh, right.
Do you know when the last time that is and what conference did it?
3 in a row
on this podcast. Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly when it was. It was 91, 92, 93, Duke, North Carolina.
So good. Oh. And what was significant about that Carolina game that ended the 3 in a row?
Oh, you mean that made it 3 in a row? Yeah. The Chris Webber. First he traveled, they didn't call it, and then he calls a timeout, and they don't have it. Just a very disappointing because that Michigan Fab 5 team was tremendous. Got to multiple Final Fours, all great things, but never won a title. That was definitely their chance, no doubt about it. It certainly was a good North Carolina team, but Michigan was better. In that game, I would say the better team did not win.
I agree completely. Eric Montross is not better than Chris Webber. Just not.
Oh no, really? Eric Montross? No.
Yeah. We talked. This tournament seemed devoid of blue bloods, but look out for these blue bloods coming back, Dave. North Carolina's back on the bubble. Duke, Kentucky, really rounding into shape. I'm not saying any of those three are going to win it, and we have to see their draws to see what they're going to do in the tournament.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
don't automatically have them getting beat because they're down this year and because it's going to be a crazy year. Just look out, a couple of early games. They're going to, they're still more athletic than most small schools.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just going to, if they're playing better and getting healthy, they're going to be fine. So what else, buddy? Zach Edey of Purdue is just, a man amongst boys. He's just bigger than everybody. Foul trouble is going to be the name of the game for him.
And we talked about that. Yeah. Yep. We just have to wait and see. Purdue at number 5 right now. So the top 5 all stayed the same this last week: Houston, Alabama, Kansas, UCLA, and Purdue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right. So just some mid-major teams to keep an eye on. They're having really nice years and have older teams that traditionally do well in the tournament. College of Charleston, Florida Atlantic for sure. Both having great years. And Oral Roberts bringing back a couple of players from their decent run last year in the Big Dance. So keep an eye on them. The Big East tournament's wide open, Dave. Anybody can win this year. Marquette, Creighton, UConn, Villanova's not playing bad all of a sudden, even though they've had a terrible year.
Marquette is number 6, Mike.
Yeah,
quietly. Connecticut has started climbing up. You mentioned them; they're up 4 spots to 14.
Yeah, the way they're playing
this week.
But I'm biased because of the local kid.
Yeah, no, but Xavier, Providence. I mean, those are all teams that are in the top 25.
UConn, right? I'm sorry, we already said that. But so check out the Big East tournament. Some old school Big East tournament this week, wherever the conference tournaments are on television coming up. And then the last thing we got to talk about is this piece of trash, Alabama.
Oh God, here.
And they continue to pile on the nonsense and, frankly, the disrespect for someone losing their life. Brandon Miller, who's wrapped up in the controversy and the murder of a 23-year-old young lady that he delivered the gun for, comes out in pregame warmups and gets to the end of the line, and the walk-on white kid that's job is to do the special handshakes pats him down.
Yes. Yeah.
And so they asked the piece of crap Nate Oates about it, and he's like, "Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I was drawing up plays." Come on, dude.
Yeah, I think that's what he said. I don't normally see that. Yeah. So now they've stifled that. That's not happening anymore.
Congratulations. That's the lowest bar.
But right. Yeah, literally just terrible. Boy, Mike, you said a couple different things. I really thought you were going at my Syracuse team.
I was gonna lay off. I've been a little brutal.
Piece of trash.
Your starting quarterback, needed an arm transplant. You got a little offended by that. So I thought I'd lay off.
Little bit, but you just can't. We talked, last week, but I mean, Syracuse 3 straight games where they have given up over 90 points. That is a first in school history that has happened.
Not a first.
No, it is not. It got so bad. So Syracuse got blown out by Georgia Tech at home this week on Tuesday night. A Georgia Tech team that hadn't won a road game in the conference all year shoots the freaking lights out and hits. I think they hit 18 3-pointers.
It was a lot, yeah.
Like the zone getting shredded to the point where after the previous game, somebody said something to Boeheim about playing man-to-man, which always gets him irritated. And he said, we're no good. We've done it in practice. We're no good. Well, guess what got broken out in the Georgia Tech game? The man-to-man defense. So that this team is just in shambles. I will be attending the home season finale tomorrow in the Dome. You see McNamara's jersey here. McNamara and Hakeem Warwick's jerseys are being retired after the game. They are at halftime honoring the 20-year anniversary of the 2003 national championship team.
Okay.
That's likely to be the most exciting parts of this. The game. They're playing Wake Forest.
Okay.
A team winnable. Sure, a lot of these games have been winnable, but it just does not look good. I usually go to these games at least excited for the game itself. I don't have a lot of hope. And there's probably going to be a decent crowd. It's a 5:00 game tomorrow, even though the weather's still supposed to be crappy, because they're honoring the championship team. They're retiring jerseys. That's going to bring people out. But this team is in shambles. They're going nowhere. They're not going to win the ACC tournament. They're not playing well enough to beat anybody. Boeheim said they can't stop anybody right now.
So here's my challenge for you at the game Saturday. Besides, if Dickie's V there, get a selfie with Dickie V. That's always.
I don't know that he's gonna be there. I'm sure there's better games than that one.
So you need to start a sarcastic 80s slow clap for Boeheim, and then like the crowd is saying you're retiring now. Like, here's the clap because we're happy this was your last game because you're retiring. Just let them know where you stand. So that's you're in charge of starting the clap. Okay. So talk to the student section or security guards or whoever you got to talk to. Get that done for us, will you? This sarcastic 80s clap sponsored by Think Tank Sports.
By Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Yep. Oh, that would be outstanding right there. I have to believe Dickie V is going to be at the Kansas-Texas game, which is at 4:00. Number 3 at number 9, Texas. But anyways,
we'll have this discussion on another podcast. But do you consider? Give me the one elevator pitch answer. Jim Boeheim had a successful career at Syracuse with 1 championship.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because because he built the program. The program was nothing. I shouldn't say that. Roy Danforth was there, did get them to a Final Four in '75. But
that's deep knowledge.
Yeah, been to 5 Final Fours. Great record in the NCAA tournament. Lots of
and I don't
Cinderella type runs. I think that where the challenge is, you hate the ending, but I think for me, when I look at it, is some of his most talented teams disappointed. And I look at the 88, 89 teams, the 1988 team, a great team.
Was that Coleman and Cycli and
that was Cycli's senior year, the year after they lost to Indiana. Still a very, very good team. They didn't have Greg Monroe and Howard Trish, but a very talented team. They get beat by Rhode Island in the tournament.
Rhode Island team.
No, that was earlier than Lamar Odom, I believe. The next year they play this tremendous game against Illinois in the Midwest Regional Final. They play as good a first half as you could ever imagine, and then Illinois comes back. This is the Kendall Gill, Kenny Battle, Marcus Liberty team that went to the Final Four, and that was a game they should have won. The 88 team they could have, but the 89 team, really, with Billy Owens and Coleman, they really should have done more. And there's other teams too, but for me, that's a challenge. Is some of his most talented teams did not perform in the NCAA tournament the way some of his not so talented teams did. You think about the 2013 team that got to the Final Four.
Right.
These 80s teams would have stomped those teams.
Right. I think the NCAA also is a different monster as far as championships go, because the one and done nature of the tournament and how wide open it
Yes.
is, where,
Mhm.
you know, in other sports you get series and you get home field advantages and all of those things. The nature of the tournament, you can't say, you know, he's only had one championship, so that means he's unsuccessful because of all the reasons you just laid out.
Yeah.
And the nature of how championships are determined. So good talk, good Syracuse talk. Maybe we'll change that name of that segment from the Hill or something. Get Brent Axe on here to wax poetically about the 2-3 zone.
That's so. One last thing on that. So the summary, Brent Axe does a summary of each game, and he has like a dark side, a sunny side, and this, that, and the other. And he, after this Georgia Tech game, it said sunny side, and he said no, just no, and that was it.
Yeah, and that's your number one reporter for Syracuse.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
he's right. He's right
as
there.
Embedded as you can be, right?
Oh yeah, and you know, as been a lifer in the area, very well connected and everything. Yeah,
right.
If he always is able to find a sunny side for a game,
right.
and for him to just say no, that you just know how bad it was.
Right. Bad it was, but this was great, Dave. Nice lively basketball talk. We had
absolutely good stuff.
Golf, maybe a little WrestleMania talk coming up. Maybe not. Here in central and upstate New York, we're batting down the hatches for another, winter storm, but we'll survive. And while we do, we'll be watching basketball for sure, and reporting back to you here at Think Tank Sports. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram. Where else are we? Facebook. People still have Facebook.
They do, yeah.
All of the podcast delivery systems.
There you go. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anchor is our choice. And then YouTube. We're kicking butt on YouTube since we've joined. We continue to improve our technology and our abilities as far as technology goes.
That's debatable, but okay.
Yeah, we're working. We're
working on it.
3.5 years. Give us
some time to improve our product. Yes.
Yeah, give us some time. It's only been 3.5 years. But we love you for listening, our tens of fans here at Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for 5.